Hey guys, so today I am going to talk about adding integers. So 2 examples that I'm going to give you. First of all, when I'm talking about integers, I'm talking about adding positives and negatives. So the first example I'm going to show you is how to add 2 negatives together. And then the second example I'm going to show you is, well, what if one is negative and the other number is positive? So I'm going to show you how I think about those and how I do those calculations. And then of course, you can have a positive plus a positive, which is what you've been doing for a very long time. So I'm pretty confident you can do that one, and I'm not going to do an example for that. So there's my 2 examples, and let's get started. On the board, I have 2 negative numbers being added. I have -5 plus -3. Oftentimes with working with negative numbers, you will notice that there will be parentheses around a negative number, just to make sure that these operations are separated and that you realize this is a negative number. If I wanted to, I could have parentheses around the -5. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to know is if you have a negative and a negative, you're just gonna get a bigger negative. So on a number line, if I've got 0 over here, -3 and -5, I'm just gonna keep going this direction and have a bigger negative number. If I just keep adding more negatives to what I have, I'm just gonna keep going further on the negative side. So here's what you need to do. You need to take your 5 and your 3 and add them together. 5 plus 3 is 8. Then, since they are both negative for adding, don't get this confused with rules for other things such as multiplication and division. They're both negative and we're adding, so our answer will also be negative just because we're going to have that bigger negative number in the end. In the second example, I'm going to have a negative number plus a positive number. So I have -6 plus +2. Here is what I want you to do when you're given the situation of a negative plus a positive. First thing I want you to do is ask yourself, which one of these numbers has a greater absolute value? So if I imagine that this negative is not there, which one's bigger, 6 or 2? Well, the 6 is a bigger number. 6 has a greater distance from 0 on the number line. So I notice 2 is only 2 spaces from 0, where the -6 is 6 spaces from 0 on my number line. So in this case, this piece is greater in that sense. Now, it has that greater distance. So what I'm going to look at is this piece negative or positive? It's negative. So my answer is going to be negative. That's how I determine if my answer is going to be positive or negative. Second part. What's going to be that number for our answer? We have the sign, now we have to find the number. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find the difference between just 6 and 2. Not -6 and 2, but just 6 and 2. We're going to find that difference. How far apart are just 6 and 2? So I'm taking the absolute value of 6, the absolute value of 2. How far apart are they? Okay. Turns out that they are 4 spaces apart on the number line. So I'm going to write a 4. Okay, so like I said, the first thing you do is which one, -6 or 2, which one has a greater distance from 0? The -6 does. So my answer will be negative because this 6 is negative. The second thing I do is ask myself, okay, if I took the absolute value of -6, absolute value of 2, now I have a 6 and a 2. What's the difference between 6 and 2 on the number line? Well, there's 4 spaces there. I gotta move 4 times to get from 2 to 6. So I put the 4 there. So my final answer is -4. Adding negatives is super duper duper important in the math world. So I really hope that when you do have negatives and positives in a problem that you take your time. I think that's the most common mistake I see with students is that they don't take their time. They rush through it and then they don't think about the different rules between adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So I just encourage you to take your time and really look at those 2 examples that I did today, and I hope that the way that I think about it helps you out. See ya.